Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Scale the Good podcast. This episode is a part of the Purpose Pivot series, and we are going to have a special conversation today. I'm Randhula Silva, founder, CEO of Good Life X, and
I'm Saseni Communications Jedi of Good Life X.
Sweet. So today's conversation is going to be special. Not because Saseni is special, she is, but because we are going to talk about a few special things. One thing that makes today unique, because for today, Saseni is completing her 1 year with us of coming on board as a full-time person away from the internship and coming in as full-time. And also, we are having this conversation, and that's special because there's quite a few similarities in Saseni's and my background and journey. To begin with, we went to the same school. That's special. Literally, she was in grade 1 when I was doing my A-levels. So like almost another generation here we're talking about. And also not only the school, but she also went to the same university as I did, University of Colombo. And she was in the same faculty of Management and Finance. So all of this makes it pretty unique. I have to say, when Saseni applied to GLX, I didn't interview her because she applied for internship position, and it was two of my other teammates who interviewed her, and she was obviously selected as a top scorer. And once she was absorbed into the company as an intern, only I heard that she went to the same school and went to the same university. I was very excited to meet her, and that was the beginning of a long journey, and we've done so much of exciting, fun stuff together so far. So Saseni, let's start with you. How did school and how did the university give you a foundation or a background, positive, negative, for where you are right now? I mean, you're just starting your journey. I sound like a Achiyamma when I say this, but you're in your mid-20s. But would love to hear from you how it shaped your journey.
Yes, so my background and my foundation, like I've been at Muses College for 13 years, and it definitely shaped me into the person who I am now, because it changed my personality, my views and perceptions about life, and being in a all-girls school and how to handle what's thrown at you in life, and also definitely my academic choices and what I am today and what I followed even in university definitely shaped me into who I am today. And it gave me a strong foundation for my professional life, and also, just like you said, there are some negatives that both of these places, I experienced from both of these places. And so, talking about academically, University of Colombo and also Muses College, it made me strong and allowed me to gather all the skills and knowledge and everything that I'm still using in my day-to-day life. And I think among the Buddhist girls' schools in Sri Lanka, I think we had a big advantage of being around good academic staff and all in school. And also in University of Colombo, you can't say that you can't say it's not the best place to learn and do my higher studies. But so that choice, both those choices, I mean, I owe it to my parents for getting me into Muses College. And definitely University of Colombo was my choice with all my hard work that I put into. So definitely all the, my relationships and my networks and everything was built around school and university. That's something that I owe it to, and also my academic background. But coming from, even though I was at Museus, I studied the local curriculum, and moving into University of Colombo, I was studying the local curriculum, apart from most of my friends who were enrolled in private universities and who were abroad. All that I felt that I'm just, inside one sort of frame that we, this local, the typical local, undergraduate and a school student will follow. The structure was, so let me put it like this. So it's not the, it's like something, oh my God, this is so hard to describe, but so I think the structure that they define success and accomplishment was much different than from, I think, what others define it. And we were inside that kind of box and frame, so that we had to get through, to achieve success and get that accomplishment, the sense of accomplishment, we had to follow that. Right. So
Passing exams and getting high scores, is that what you mean?
that too, and the definition of success is different from what I now see, right? So that is one big negative that impacted me, but I don't look at it as a negative because it drove me to where I am now. But for some people, it might be too much of pressure. Right? So, and it happened both at university and also in school, both places. There's because I don't know what the difference is, but is the same, pretty much the same in school and university. So I think that's basically my foundation, and I think similarly you must have gone through something like that, because it's the same places.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hold that for a little moment because there's somebody very noisily washing their dishes. No? Okay. So I will continue. Yeah, definitely went through a similar background. And I think during my time, that was 12 years before you, right? I did my A-levels in 2006. Similar, maybe perhaps worse. Oh, I don't know. But definitely similar, if not worse. So in school, pressure to achieve, and not because that school is such a place, but that entire education system. If you take any school in Sri Lanka that's following the local curriculum or even maybe international curriculum, it's the same. That pressure to achieve. That's coming from this island mentality. I don't blame just the education system, but the system is maintained by our status of mind, right? And the society. So it was pretty much that, like, get good scores, be top of the class, and achieve. And I never did. Never been to a single prize giving in my life except for the last one, because that too I was the head cop or the head prefect. And this is the reason that got me to actually study hard and pass A-levels, because one particular teacher during my A-level time passed a comment, not to me but to my friends, to say Randhula would never pass her A-levels, she will fail. In fact, she would only go to the prize giving, school prize giving, to give her a speech as the head prefect, because she's never seen a single prize giving anyway. This really pissed me off, and I'm glad she said that, because that made me kind of want to prove a point and study really hard. And I think that's, in the adult life, that's a negative I worked out of. I mean, I worked it out of me and I got over it to just kind of prove somebody wrong. I don't do that anymore. But that worked out for me because in the last 3 months, I studied really, really hard with the help of one of my best friends, Charita, who helped me immensely because I had 0 notes, was never in class, all of that. And I got qualified to Colombo University. In fact, I got qualified to the law faculty as well. My marks were good enough to do law, but I selected management. Yeah, I think I'm happy I did. Looking at the legal system now. But yeah, definitely that was there. And did that determine and define my future or my journey or how I have crafted it now? The fact that I wasn't first in the class and always the 12th or the 13th, no. And I think your smartness or your ability to critically think or your conduct doesn't always get defined by how much marks do you take in your exams. Apart from exams, I did a lot of other things in school. It wasn't like, I mean, we are not anyway like the boys' schools, right? We don't jump out of the wall and go roaming around. You're inside school when you're in a girls' school. So what I did other than being inside class was everything else, drama to choir to music to girl guiding to everything, environmental society, science society, astronomical society. Like I was president of like 10 million societies because I loved it. And that helped me define my leadership skills and what kind of ways I collaborate with others and how to work with people and how to make decisions in critical conditions. So that made me street smart almost. And those kind of learnings also comes from school. It comes from that environment. It comes from that very secure and safe background before you go into the unsafe society, right? So I'm very glad that I got that exposure, and there were teachers in school that encouraged me to get that exposure. And there were teachers in school who saw the leader in me, even though I wasn't the first in class, who saw it in me to say, hey, let's give her the opportunity. Let's give her the chance to become the head cop, and voted for me so that I became the brave child I was. I was a wallflower and then into being a public speaker, a brave girl, all of that. So that really defined me. Otherwise, I was this shy, meek girl in school who never spoke publicly. Was, it was a huge contrast if you look at me now and look at me back in school. So that pivotal moment, because somebody recognized that she has this in her, defined me, and I'm very thankful to date for that happening. And then university, same story, right? I had 5 people in my department, Department of Business Economics. I selected that because I absolutely love economics, behavioral economics more than anything. And again, never in class, always doing drama, always doing everything else, and got so much out of it. And this was the first time, like you, that I got into the society, that I got to be with and work with people from other religions, because we were going to all Buddhist school, that we got to work with people who were not in our same gender. We got to know boys, all of that. And we got to work with them. So in university also, everybody's like, you need to get a first class. I'm like, no, I have nothing to prove. I know what I have in me, and that doesn't come through by, how do you call it? It doesn't come by memorizing everything that's in the curriculum and pouring it out at the exam, but it's everything else. So I was a rebel in that sense. And I'm like, you know what? If I don't have a first class, I know that's not going to define who I am, and I'm just going to do everything else anyway. So I refused, because I was almost embarrassed that you could just recite something, like memorize something and recite it on the paper, and then that gives you the seal of approval, which I don't think is like a smart way. No insult to any of the other students who got a first class. They are incredibly hardworking, incredibly smart. My closest friend from university is like a 5 gold medalist. I have so much respect for her. She's currently studying for her PhD in Australia. They're incredibly fantastic people, but me not wanting to take that part does not make me any less. And I was confident that there was something else I was creating on my own, which I did. So I think positives and negatives, and also it's how you let those frameworks work for you or define you. So I said no to them, you said yes to them, but at whichever point in life, you come to a point where you're very, very comfortable in whichever path you took. So I think that was my experience in uni and school. What was the second question, Hari? Okay, it's here. He's the man. Okay, at the very beginning stages of your career, what were the key motivators in the decisions you took? What was the greater purpose? Yeah, do you want to take that first? Very beginning of your career is then with us?
So right after school, I actually joined one of the big four audit firms, and I was working with them as a training assistant for their forensics division. So that was my first big girl job. I know. So I think before joining GLX, I had my fair share of working in other corporates in Sri Lanka and getting exposed to those corporate cultures. So, and also I worked, my internship I was there for 1 year at one of the conglomerates in Sri Lanka as well. And so playing both in those roles, like being there and playing the part as a team. So my purpose and my motivation was to, first of all, to be a corporate, to get that exposure. That was one of my main motivators. And to, dress up and go to office and, play that role. That was one of my big motivators. And I felt like, I have a sense of responsibility and I'm the eldest of my family. So I wanted to, look cool. But slowly going into playing my roles there, I couldn't work for that long because university started soon than I expected. So I then moved into being an undergraduate full time. And after when the COVID hit and we were starting online lectures, I then started my internship. And then only, right after getting that academic knowledge, now when we are in school, we get separate type of knowledge and skill set, and that's different from what you get from university. It's more specific, management related, and get the overall exposure. And since I was specializing in marketing, I was getting a bit of more academic knowledge and skills in related to that. So when one motivating factor that I took with me when I was starting my internship was, I'm now doing marketing. I wanted to see where I can go with what are the skills and the knowledge that I can gather, and whether this career path suits me. That was another motivating factor for me to start my internship. And then it was purpose. I think, to be honest, I'm still figuring out my purpose. Since I'm just beginning my career, but there was always something in my mind, the level, like the way I work and the way I present myself and the way I handle things professionally. When I went into that company, it was so different. And the commitment level, being an intern, the commitment level and my responsibility I put into the role, I saw that most of the seniors didn't have it with them, and it was so difficult to get into that level. So my boss that time, he told me, I see you're changing. You were different when you came in. You had a different type of professionalism, and the way you handle things are different, but don't absorb into this culture. You are not that. He gave me a really good advice. You're not that, you're someone different. Just because they are like this, you don't have to absorb it to you. And actually, my motivation levels were dropping, and I couldn't perform as I performed in the first few months. And he told me, you're not going to be here for long. You're an intern. You have a big future ahead of you, and you don't have to absorb whatever these people, the energy and the vibe and everything that they're giving out and the way they work. You don't have to absorb it. You don't have to be like them. You can be yourself. You can work and be that. That words were very motivating, and from there onwards, I started working on to being myself and, bringing my energy levels and the way I work. And I didn't care whether the others did the same. I just went on playing my role with my sense of responsibility and, whatever I was taught at university and, from school. And all of that really helped me to then slowly take the step towards, I was there for 1 year, and to take the step and say, I'm looking for something different. This may not be the place, but it's good that I started here because now I know where I should be heading, right? So the motivation was definitely high. It's my first official job after being an undergraduate. Now I'm starting my career officially in marketing, and I'm moving towards that direction. And I was given a big responsibility of starting their own social media and likewise. So that was there, and slowly it started reducing. But when he said that, I realized, just because the culture and just because the rest of the team is like that, I shouldn't be demotivated. So I should play my role in the way I'm supposed to play it, and always have my my energy coming into the company. So they really appreciated it, and I'm still in touch with many of my colleagues there who are all my age and my same vibe, and also my immediate bosses, both of them. So really happy about that. So motivating factor was definitely the chance that they gave me to be myself and bring my energy there. So I think those are the 2 jobs that I played before coming into JLX. And last year, so I was out of this job and I was, there, and it was my final year in university, and then I randomly jumped to the role at GLX, and then I moved here full time. And I feel like I'm slowly there are so many motivating factors coming to work here and, being with the team. It's just, one is definitely being myself, but that I, of course, discovered when I was leaving my last job. And then there is some sense of satisfaction playing the role. I started as a digital rock star and then to moving into program associate. And at every point, every week, end of every week, when I, talk about my wins and losses in the meetings, it's just, I get that sense of, I'm discovering my sense of purpose and what, where I'm heading to and what I'm good at. And the satisfaction I get when talking about it is, I don't think I can ever, put it into words how satisfied I feel, because every day there's a new challenge. Working here, and working with the entrepreneurs and working with the teams, external parties, there's always a challenge. But at the end, it's always about how we overcame it as a team. So I'm involved in different teams, in the program teams, and there are different programs, and then there are different teams who I'm working with. All that, at the end, how I get there and how big of a role that I have played there, that itself is a big motivating factor to me. I'm definitely discovering my purpose, and I feel that I'm closer towards my purpose in life and how I want it to impact the next few years of my life. And even though I'm still discovering it and still getting to the real purpose of my life, I feel my role at GLX is definitely guiding me there, and that itself is a big motivation for me. So I think those are my points about motivation and finding my purpose. And I'm happy that I get to discover it sooner than most of people in my age who are starting off their career. And discovering your purpose earlier in life is I feel that I'm gonna have a big advantage in the coming years, so that I know where I should be and where I should go down my journey.
Thank you for that sharing. A purpose and discovering your purpose or living connected to your purpose, it's such a big topic. And there's a lot of almost pressure on people, on companies to discover this. But it's also important to note that this is an evolving process. It's to be able to live true to your heart's calling or to yourself. And for me, it can take different shapes, and it has taken different shapes and outlets in different stages of my life. And if I define purpose of what it is to me, it basically is, if I have this one life, how do I want to put it to use in the best possible way? That will give me meaning, that will give somebody else meaning, or a significant impact or reason with my existence. And if that is a place that I come to is a place that I am content, then that's okay. I don't need to have a black and white 100% clear picture, but am I at peace there? Then it's okay. Then I'm meant to be there. Then there is a purpose to be fulfilled there. And once that purpose is fulfilled, I move on. And that's how I have always operated. And that's a nice place to be. So that with time, with age, with experiences, I grow. But I think at the very heart of things, it has never changed for me. I think outlet has always changed, and kind of the shape in which it operates has always changed. But the very core of it has always been the same, and that is to really live my most authentic life, and give the ability for other people to live their most authentic life too. When I was very young, I think at the age of 16, my dream was to work with the UN. So development sector was like the big dream. But right out of school, my mother was a banker all her life, and the immediate door she could open for me was in an international bank in Sri Lanka. So I went there as an intern, like you. I think I had a salary of $11,000 or something. I was there for 10 or 11 months. And there I was exposed to the corporate culture and international bank, right? So extremely proper. And I think I got groomed. And it was a very good thing that I went there first, because I got groomed on how to dress, how to speak, what to do, what not to do, how boardrooms work, how bureaucracy, seniority, all of that works. And also because it was an international bank, even the CEO was addressed by his or her first name. So out of this Buddhist girls' school culture where we were taught to worship everybody, you are now addressing the senior most person as an intern by his name. So those kind of things I learned very fast, and the reasons behind it and the rationalities behind it, that helped me a lot. And even like I still think of her very fondly today, Maheshaki, who was like, who was in my department, who taught me like how to dress properly, and she was wearing like branded lipsticks and all of that. I'm like, oh my God, this girl is like the girl to look up to for fashion. No, seriously. So these kind of small things makes a huge impact in your life. And so that was the first thing. And then, of course, like you, I got into university. I never expected to get into university. But I think in between, I also did a stint at the CIMA corporate office as a PR intern. So again, I learned how media works, how press releases work, how press conferences work, how press kits work at 19, right? And to date, these are things I'm so glad I learned at that age, because it's just like another muscle that kicks in instinctively when we are doing our work now. So that was very cool. And then I got into university, and then during university also I was doing a lot of side gigs, just for fun, because like I'm a person who can never do one thing, but I want to have a lot of other things to juggle with, which I find myself being most productive when I do that. So I was also an assistant to an event manager who found me through university. So she was a university alum, and then she had her own event management company. So I went in for her events, and there I learned about flow plans, event management, invite lists, all of this stuff, how buffets work, how rates work, how rate cards work, how negotiations work, how all of that. That was fun. But see, even through that whole journey, I know that those weren't there as like permanent things. Those were just part of a phase that I was going through, and I never expected those places to define me, but I was adding value to whatever they were doing. They were adding value to whatever I wanted to be. And at the very core of my intentions, I still wanted to work with people, with communities, and therefore UN still was a dream to me. So after I graduated, my first job was Verite, and I think there's Verite research. There's two pivotal points in anybody's journey, right? What you do straight after school, what you do straight after university. So for me, just like GLX was your first job after university, for me, the first job after university was Verite. I didn't use any connections. I didn't have any connections to Verite, but it was just a newspaper ad that I just wrote and applied to. And just like you saw us on LinkedIn, I saw them on newspaper. And I applied for it. And they were family. They're still family. I was there only for like 1.5 or 2 years, and I developed products with them, the media analysis that is still rolling out. And I found family there. I found a lot of intelligent people there that I'm still very deeply connected to. And I learned so much about the political, socio-economical, and media landscape in Sri Lanka, which comes... I can't say how important that learning was in my life, because to date, the work that I craft, the work that I do, and the civil society or the activist stuff that I do other than GLX is so deeply connected to my beginnings at Verite. So I'm so glad that these opportunities are there for Sri Lankans. As a child, I was so curious in arts and sciences. I was Junior Science Society president because I was such a science geek, okay? Chemistry to everything. I was so curious about it, and so was I about natural sciences, like botany to plants to everything. Yeah, exactly. I was so curious. But the science route, where can that take me? I didn't have any guidance. Okay, doctor. No, I didn't want to become a doctor. I knew that. That's how it goes. Yeah, science karane doctor. No, I didn't want to become a doctor. So what do I do if I love botany and I love plants? What do? I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was only child. So no. So I think the easiest next choice was, what is my best friend doing? She chose commerce. I love her. I'll do commerce too. And here I am still on that route. Okay. So, and I let go of my my deep involvement in art. I used to paint a lot. I used to do a lot of craft with my hands, a lot of stuff with my hands. I used to act on stage a lot, and I loved it. I still did it while university, but I let it go when career came into play. And you have to make a living. I don't come from a deep well of wealth or a trust fund background. So you have to make meet when you're an adult, especially. So art took a back seat, and I miss it. I really do. And now with Good Life X, I think this is where I'm really trying to like marry together nature and private sector and design and art, and it's working out beautifully, I think, because there's very natural synchronies. But I think when we make decisions because of different reasons, to come back to truly who you are, it takes time to undo. So yeah, I think that's something I wanted to share as well. Okay, so as time passed, did the motivators change, and how so? How does your purpose continue to evolve? You want to go? Okay, so as time evolved, did motivations changed? No, I think as time evolved, motivations got clearer for me. Because the more you try out different stuff that are recommended for you or comes your way, with a yes or no, or with how well you feel when you're in that premise or not, it gets clearer whether this is for you or this is not for you. If this is not for you, then what is for me? So this is one more thing that I don't want to do. At least that's clarity, right? So I think with time, motivations got more clearer, and that direction in life became solid, which makes you move towards, if you're constantly in a path of evolving and not stagnating, it moves you to that point of you knowing yourself more and more. It's about connecting to who you truly are and your people. I think with Good Life X, I'm so fortunate that I have found a team, I have found partners, I have found experts, I have found entrepreneurs that I can call family. And I use the word family so much because, again, I'm an only child and you don't have siblings. You find family out there in the world as you grow up. And these are people you spend time with, you share your dreams with, you share your vulnerabilities with, you share your moments of growth, moments of breaking down, all of this with. And I found it with the community of GLX, and that's beautiful. And together now, I think as we move forward, there's more and more motivations that come into fulfilling the purpose. So it broadens it and brings it clarity, I think. And in all the places that I've worked in, like till the very recent past, everything has added value and clarity to that place I want to go to, by giving me challenges and opportunities that I said yes to and no to. For instance, I think the first job that I did right out of school, that international bank that I worked in, the immediate boss that I had was telling me, why are you going to university? Like, this job, you can become a permanent staff member if you stay on as an intern for 12 months, and you'll become just like us. I'm like, I don't want to be like you. I like 9 to 5. No. And I was a child. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But I'm like, I want to be a CEO. I want to be a leader. And now, I think, 15 years after, do I want to be a CEO? No. Okay, I'm done. Because I've had my share, and I think I will continue to create, but I won't continue to be in a position of a CEO. I think I lived that and it's done. But for him, it was so funny. He's like, oh, good luck. But that's not cool. That's not okay. And I mean, back then I didn't even realize what was said to me, but it was like to say, oh, you're being so stupid, you foolish girl, what are you trying to do? But there's so many opportunities for you to create your own world if you're open to it.
I think pretty much similar to me as well, like my SIMA story. So I just started off, so like when you're doing, if you do bio, you're a doctor, right? When you're doing commerce, you're an accountant. That's how it goes. So that's the framework that I told earlier. That's how we measure, the success of your career. Yeah. It's not the bucks you earn, but it's, the position, the label, yes. Right? So I think in that sense, I think I started SIMA and going ahead. But down the line, even through university, I was thinking, did I choose the correct path for me? I then thought maybe I could have done arts and got somewhere else, because I was definitely not. I did sports in school, but not, sporty, but aesthetically inclined. That's something that I've always felt. So even my mother suggested, doing arts for A-levels, but I wanted to, get into the business world, the corporate world, to get that exposure. I loved that, but blindly I followed everyone else, did SEMA, and I was there circling around trying to discover my purpose. And when I decided to do marketing and, went down that road in my third year, then only I discovered, this is where I should be going. This is where I'm good at. That is what I'm good at. So if I knew earlier there were other qualifications that I could have done to improve my background, to follow where I really belong, I would have been much happier than, blindly doing something the others were doing and thinking, if you're doing commerce, you're going to end up an accountant and a management accountant or a finance person. Yeah, but no offense to anyone, but like so many of my friends are doing good in that field. And yeah, so that was the road I was describing, and that's what has like been impacting me throughout. And slowly I diversed into this. And yeah, so the motivating factors for me has definitely changed, because I think from here onwards it will evolve, but for me it has definitely changed because when I was working in the corporate field as an intern, I also knew that the 8 to 5 thing was not for me. And when I started the job here, when I went to when we were there at Hatch, I went to Hatch and I came home and I told my mother, and she was like, I think this is a good place for you to work. I think this is the ideal place. She just said that. I feel like you found where you belong. And that word itself was like, I thought, wow, then people see that there's a big difference in me, including my parents and my family. And I'm much happier and I'm much myself. And so those factors have definitely, the motivating factors have changed, and it's just like I said, it's just guiding me towards my purpose. And yeah, so I'm not crying for that. It got a little scenty. Yeah, so so that was a big win for me coming into GLX. And just like you said, I have met people who I've never thought that I'd meet in my entire life. And I've heard stories from people, I haven't seen or heard about such things. And when I go home and tell my parents and my friends, they are so curious about what I'm doing. And at the end of my university, I did the presentation about Good Life X and my time as a program associate, because it's accredited, accredited subject. And but got a good grade. And they were so interested in hearing about Good Life X and what I do. And I did like a small presentation, not a presentation, but I like one day when few of my friends were taking a ride back home, they asked, so Saseni, what are you doing? Because now everyone's working at big corporates and having these typical roles. And I told I started off as a digital rock star. And they were like, what's digital rock star? And what's program associate? What are you doing? And then when I gave them the explanation, they were surprised, like, oh, there are companies that do that, there are people like that. And I explained about the entrepreneurs that we worked with and the products they have, and they were surprised. And all my time as a program associate and before, I've been going around on site visits, field visits, going to visit these companies, sharing my stories and telling my friends, this is what I do. There's this type of company that does this, and they're here and they can't even believe it. And they're like, oh my gosh, dude, you're living your life. That's what they're saying. And, they are just starting off like me, but they're still, in work, going to work 8 to 5 and working even more than that. And the stories I hear from them, I feel like I'm blessed and I found where I truly belong. So what my mother saw that day is true. And, I'm going in that direction. I'm really happy to be here. And definitely the factors and I'm going down the road to find my purpose. And in future, definitely it'll evolve and change, and it'll keep changing till I found where I really want to be. And like you, I was also in university, I loved volunteering. So that's why I was working with Rotaract and all other, my roles that I've been playing. And also I wanted to wanted to incorporate that business sense and volunteering and community part. So that I was also involved in the business case study club in university. It was, I think, new. It wasn't there when you all were there, right? Yeah. So there's a business case study club. That's where, get more in, like, it's more practical sense now. In university, you learn the whole business fundamentals, concepts and everything, but at the case club we put it into practical action. And even though the assignments we got, they were basically written and presentation based, but there I really got the chance to test it out, test whatever I learned, and it made a huge impact in me. And I'm so thankful for the case study club. It drove me into another direction, and I wanted to find avenues that I can combine my love for volunteering and community part to a business sense. So but I didn't know about that, like how it can relate to my career, but I'm still finding ways that it can improve. And I don't know, for some reason I ended up here, and it was a very random, spontaneous way how I ended up here. And I'm as a person who embraces spontaneity and loving that factor, I think I ended up where I really belong. And and it will definitely evolve me and motivate me to work further for it. And
Welcome home. I love how you said you love spontaneity and how it allowed you to come here. That's something that's very important to note in life. At least it works out well for me, and sounds like it does for you. If we don't have like a very linear path that we have like drawn in a paper to say this step next, this step next, this step next, this step next, and this is the destination, you're closing out all the other possibilities, doors and pathways that can open up for you, that will take you to a place that will truly make you happy and make the best out of you. If we have like a preconditioned path, right? And when we kind of define that preconditioned path, we are defining it with our current knowledge, or with the knowledge of our parents or our friends or the circles or the previous successors. But world changes every second, every millisecond, right? So what is that destination predefined today, and the context of it will completely change tomorrow. So you're actually trying to achieve something that is already like in the past. But without doing that, if you're really open to possibilities to come and find you, and to be like water and to let them shape you, you can't even imagine what life can offer you. And that's absolutely true, because never did I even know the word accelerator or community or working in collaboration and co-creation, and how all of that can be something that we can do on a daily basis, like a job or a thing that we can get paid for. When I was in school or in uni, or like 5 years ago, I didn't know that. But it just comes together, and with time it just gets defined and defined and defined and defined. And now we have gone way beyond an accelerator and become something much more, which I don't even know the word for. But it's something that we experience when we are doing it, and everybody who is with us experiences it, and it transforms people, and it transforms companies, right? And it transforms lives. And that's so freaking beautiful. I didn't plan on doing it. All I wanted to do and be was part of the UN, but for the same reasons. Change people's lives. I'm not part of the UN. I don't think I want to be. But I'm doing the exactly same thing in a much different way. And it's fun. And it's so fulfilling. So the next question is, when you're going towards your purpose, what are the challenges that you encountered, and how did you kind of navigate through those? You want to take that?
Okay. So far, I think there are a few challenges that I faced and when I got here. And I know that definitely now since I'm on my way to my purpose, I'll definitely encounter more challenges. I think one challenge is trying to, it's definitely hard, like it's a big challenge to convince people, saying that, this is not the conventional way you are working towards the greater good, and it's not the conventional way. It is different. The path that we take, it's different. The way we work, it's different. And trying to convince people, saying, this is how I make a living, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to continue. It's a little bit of a challenge to convince people, but I don't consider it as a challenge, because it the thing is, so yeah, it is definitely a challenge, but I don't consider it as a challenge myself, like it'll be a challenge for other people, is because there's always people who'll be opinionated about what you're doing. Even you go in the conventional path, I know this is not right, this is how you should go there, so there's no point. But that is one big challenge for me. And I think I overcame this challenge to think, when I chose my career and the way I should lead towards it, I thought, maybe I've not accomplished much. It's like self-doubt and all. That's something that I overcame as a challenge, because every time you sit and wonder, just like you, I was not the first in the class. I wasn't the top student. I was not the teacher's pet or favorite. Just a random general school life. Of course, prize givings, never been to prize givings. I've been in the prize giving. Yeah, I've been in the prize giving because I was in the band. Okay. To welcome the chief guest, I'll be there in the prize giving. I'm a part of the prize giving, but not for the prize, right? So just only for A-level and O-level results, I got the prize. That's because you get it, but never the class top and all. And then came into uni, not the best, the big 4 GPA, just the normal general GPA. And also, not the best in sports, and not balancing, sports and academics, the literal definition of success. I'm just a normal average person who's, doing my thing, following my spontaneous decision, my random thinking and all that, and getting where I am, and just enjoying my life. So at every juncture of that, journey, I was like, am I doing enough? Am I not accomplishing enough? I can do better, but am I like nobody? That's something that always triggers in me. And I think now I have overcome it. Like, I don't know how, it's just throughout the past few years, I must have, it's like my self remedy that I discover. It's like, no, you are happy, you are being yourself. You don't have for doing this, you don't have any haters. That's what keeps me going, and that's something that definitely helped me to overcome this challenge. And also, I have definitely supportive parents, family, and friends. I have a very close circle, very small amount of friends who are very supportive and always there for me, and my family also, and my husband. They are very supportive of what I'm doing, and they know that it makes me happy, and that is also something that's helping me to overcome this challenge. And another challenge is, of course, like the one I told, like how to convince people that this is a thing, and this is how it is. Other than that, I don't like, it's just me putting myself down. Other than that, I don't feel like I do have a challenge at the moment, but definitely there will be more challenges, because like I said, I want to work and combine the whole volunteering and business aspect of it. And throughout that journey, I feel like there will be a lot of challenges that will be opening up, and I'm just discovering how these challenges, I can overcome these challenges and what can be done. But I know definitely you must have had a lot of challenges throughout.
I think the biggest one is also because of the type of person that I am. I always I'm attracted to doing things differently or doing new things. So when you're doing that, one challenge is the risk, but that's a personal challenge. No, like it's if you screw up, it's your life. I'm not risking anybody else's life, right? So that is one challenge. I mean, so when Good Life X began, it was 5 years ago, but when we created a company out of this, and I came out from everything else I did to only do Good Life X, I didn't pay myself a salary for 18 months. That wasn't easy. Thank God it was during the time of COVID, so lifestyle also was very different, but still it wasn't easy. But so those kind of risks you always take, but it's your personal risk to take. But the challenges, like when you're doing something new and when you're introducing new structures, frameworks, or new ways of doing things, there's always it's always a challenge to get acceptance. Not even acceptance in the typical mainstream way, but to be acknowledged that this is something works, this is something that's needed, this is something that works. So you've got to like really push really hard and show and tell, so that people understand. To get people to understand, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because there's so much that you can say in words, no? People believe and people understand what they see. So to do something for the first time and to showcase, and that journey up to that point until people turn around and say, hey, this is actually working and pretty cool and whatever, it's a lonely journey. It's so there's a lot of times where you're like alone and you don't have people who can guide you or to ask advice from. So it's that challenge of being alone, and that challenge of always having to kind of prove, showcase, and kind of shout on top from top of a roof to say, look at this, it's actually working, here's a good alternative. And that's a tiring process to do it over and over again. And it's harder at the beginning of the journey than with time it gets easier, because people understand, okay, like she's not just wasting our time. So I think that is always one of the biggest challenge. And then also when you're doing this, there's a lot of non-believers. People say you can't do it, you are wasting time, you won't succeed, you're not able to do it. And I think as women, we are always anyway extra hard on ourselves. So I'm very hard on myself, and it takes a toll. So when there's so many non-believers, I'm even more harder on myself. So I really want to get out of it, get over it, and I think in some sense I have. But it's also continuous growth and a process of evolving yourself out of it. So those were, I think, the two main challenges. But having said that, if you're truly living your authentic most self, there's the right kind of people who gets attracted to you and believes in you and will help in any way they can to walk that path with you. So I have been very, very blessed to have found people like that in you guys, in my partners, in the entrepreneurs we work with. And who knows, maybe we might fulfill our purpose as Good Life X soon or later. And if it's soon, we all can do something else together next as we evolve. So I think I'm very open to the process of how we all will evolve through this journey, and it's an exciting place to be. I don't have any more notes. That means we are coming close to the end. But I think one thing you said about your friends having come through this journey and have made different choices, I have peers like that too. And I think one thing I'm noticing in my generation is, even though they have come and gone through the typical expected path, at some point in their life, especially if when they hit their 30s, they ask themselves the question, is this it? If this is not it, then what else? So people are curious to options on how to define their career, define their lives, to make different choices while doing a full-time corporate job. There's a lot of people who reach out to me wanting to do something on the side, which can be in agriculture, which can be in food, which can be in coaching and mentoring. So people are very, I think, living in a good time because they have all these different types of options that are opening up to them to live that life they always wanted to. And there's a lot of people around us who are already doing that. And in our work, we meet people like that day in, day out. And it gives so much of hope in a hopeless environment to be working with people like that. So I think we are very blessed that way, to have kind of followed our heart, and to be working with people who are following their heart too. Do you want to end in
Yeah, so yeah, my peers are definitely, they're struggling out because they are starting out, and I'm hoping that I also one day meet them in 5 to 6 years and they'll be like, is this it? And is there anything that I can change? Can I move into something else? And can I really be happy and get to the place that I always wanted to get there, be? And I'm thinking that, and I'm hoping most of them will reach out to me and, say, and they themselves find what that purpose is. And being a person who's still discovering my purpose, and I know that I'm closer, and I've been saying that throughout this conversation, but I hope that, I wish and I pray that all my friends will get there as well, because I know all of them are very talented and very skilled individuals, and they are doing their best and they're doing good in what they're doing. But just like you said, that a certain point in life you'll be like, is this what we can do? There's something else and something more to it that we don't see, that we are stuck here doing that same routine thing, but there's more to it. And I'm happy if I will be able to help them out with what they're trying to discover.
And it's important to note that career is not a life sentence, and career is not the only purpose in your life, or career doesn't define your purpose. It doesn't have to. It is what you are as a full human being, what you do with your time, and what you do with the people in your life. Right? So it's a really holistic roundabout thing. And I want to end with the note to say that to live life as a full human being is to be living your fullest potential, and to be free to do that. And freedom, more than anything, regardless of which country you are in, which society you belong to, what profession you belong to, freedom is a state of mind. You can be working in the most restrictive profession, restrictive organization, and still be a very free person. So it always starts with your head and your mind. And just like us, we hope you'd get to live a free and impactful and purposeful life. Yeah, hope we didn't bore you. Thank you for listening.